Have you ever had a moment so perfect it felt like the universe was nudging you? I had one while I was shooting this video. I went on a trip with my best friend after filming my initial film reaction to Signs, and then we get to the hotel room, and what movie should be playing on the screen? Signs. It didn't feel random. It felt like the universe winking at me, being like, "You're on track, girl." And maybe that's what's at the heart of this movie. Noticing patterns, real or imagined, that keep us going. So tonight we're curling up for a late night breakdown of Signs, emotional and cinematic. If you've ever stared at the stars and asked for a sign, or just wanted a film that would make your existential dread feel seen, this film's for you. Stay tuned for another moment where I felt like the universe was talking to me, and go ahead and share yours in the comments. Get your snacks and cozy up. I'm Lily, your hostess, and tonight we're going deep into Signs, a movie less about aliens and more about grief, healing, and how sometimes when life gives you a kick in the teeth, it also gives you the exact tools you need to heal. Let's start with the title. Signs. Not just crop circles. Signs from the universe. Are they real? Are we making them up because we need the world to mean something? Is faith just confirmation bias dressed up as destiny? Ooh, that one will get them. This film lives right in that tension. Part sci-fi realism, part spiritual ambiguity. All right, before we get into it, here's some context. The film is written, directed, and produced by M. Night Shyamalan. This was Shyamalan in his post-Sixth Sense, post-Unbreakable prime. People basically either thought he was a genius or highly overrated. But culturally, in the early 2000s, we were living in a haze of religious anxiety and apocalyptic imagery. Y2K panic still fresh, 9/11 in the rear view. And then here comes a film saying, what if the bad things that happen to you are just to set up the good? What if the things that broke you are actually what will save you? Is there such a thing as necessary evil? So here's the setup. Graham, played by Mel Gibson, is widowed and an ex-priest who's lost his faith because he lost his wife. He lives on the farm with Meryl, Joaquin Phoenix's character, and his two kids, played by Rory Culkin and Abigail Breslin. Crop circles appear, weird things happen, aliens come. But instead of mass panic or military drama, we stay with this one family and their private, personal unraveling. What I think is crazy is that they shot the very first scene of the film the night after 9/11 happened. And then the house that the family lives in is red, white, and blue, which basically makes the family an allegory for the American dream and losing faith in that. But that's a whole other conversation. We can't talk about Signs without talking about the screenplay. This thing has few characters, mostly one location, and huge emotional stakes. It's a masterclass in setups and payoffs, in my opinion. Everything comes back. The alien with the cut off fingers, the water, the bat, the asthma, the loss of faith. Go ahead and tell me, what's your favorite payoff that comes back? I think my favorite is the water. I love that look between Mel Gibson and Abigail Breslin, where they're just like, oh my God. Also, what do you guys think about M. Night Shyamalan casting himself in this film? As the writer-director, Shyamalan literally wrote and created the world and events of the film. He wrote the events that ruined Graham's life. Ray, his character, isn't a villain. He's broken, guilty, human. He represents all the accidents and mishaps that shape us, as well as our inability to control tragedy. And by playing this role himself, Shyamalan could maybe be making a statement about how we're all victims and villains in each other's stories. It's not clean cut. I remember when I was younger how people would talk about and judge him for putting himself in the film, but now I love it. I see it as not vanity, but ownership. It sort of feels like Shyamalan casting himself as the cause of death is sort of an act of artistic penance. And for a film that talks about finding meaning through pain, that's thematically perfect. I love how this movie doesn't wrap faith in a bow. It shows how messy it is, that forgiveness and belief don't come from perfect justice, but from acceptance. And it mirrors our own lives. Confirmation bias is real, but it works both ways. You can either focus on the negative and think you're cursed, or you can see how things align and you're part of something bigger. There's so much beauty in this world. If you look for it, you will find it. Now, if you want my personal craziest sign from the universe, here you go. I was being stupid and walking around downtown in this really unsafe area, and I found an empty park. And I went and was walking around, and all of a sudden my intuition told me to get down and not move. So I did so. And right as I did, a car came into the lot and circled the park. And I laid there not moving. And as it left, I asked, was that a coincidence to the universe? And right then in my head, I heard, look right. And I did. And right when I looked right, like a second after, I saw the most beautiful, huge shooting star I've ever seen. It was gorgeous. So yeah, I'm a huge believer. But I would never push those beliefs on anybody. And that's what science is at the end of the day. Not proof, not propaganda, but a reminder that meaning is something we choose. That's why I love the intentional filmmaking choices, like the claustrophobic framing and the intimate sound design and how the silence kind of makes your skin crawl. Not to mention the performances that hit you right in the chest, especially the kids. Are you kidding? Amazing. This is a story that hides its message in plain sight, but it lets you choose if you want to believe it. And if science teaches us anything, it's that healing doesn't wait for the world to feel safe. It happens when we choose to believe again, even if we're scared, even if it's just in ourselves. I don't know, I think it's wild how movies about the end of the world make you believe in starting over. So what do you believe? Are there signs everywhere? Or is that just our need to control a chaotic world? Go ahead and comment below your favorite moment from Signs, as well as a moment in your life that was chaotic, but it was actually a blessing in disguise. I love reading those stories, as well as your suggestions for what we watch next. I'm Lily. This has been Movie Sleepover. Until next time, look to the skies and think about those weird coincidences a little more. Bye.